Where we left off, we're trying to make this animation. This is for Spring 15 Quiz 4 animation. And now we have our phases ready to go. So let's go ahead and write phase 1. Let's do a reset and say go. And as you can see, what phase 1 does is it says phase 1 slowly. Actually, do a reset one more time, and this time step. And on step 1, nothing is there. And then as the steps go by, the words come out one letter at a time, and it's phase 1, exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. All right, so let's go here and write this. So we are now in phase 1. We're not. What ours does right now is it just reports phase 1 and a phase step. Okay. So, and if you don't understand why, you should go watch the previous video where we wrote that. So we're in this method, do phase 1, function I should say, do phase 1. And what we want to do is first, of course, we have our text, which was phase 1, exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. Okay? And what we're going to want to do is create the text. It's centered, so it's at the width over 2 and the height over 2. The text will be whatever the text is, and the fill was, what color was that fill? It looks like it's blue. Okay. Oh, we also have to know what the font is, by the way. And that looks to me to be, it's Arial, it's bold, it's maybe around 40. So that would be a font of Arial 40 bold. Okay, so now the issue has to do with what the actual text is going to say. So let's actually run it like this to begin with. And we see our phase 1 says phase 1 now nicely, but of course it's not acting like this one, which was slowly spelling the word out. So for that, what we have to do is realize that we're not going to use the entire string. We're going to use a fraction of the string depending upon how many steps we've had so far in this phase out of the total number of steps. So let's first have this notion of phase progress. Phase progress I want to be 0 when we start the phase and 1 when we end the phase, and to proceed from 0 to 1. It's the fraction of completion of this phase. Naturally, that's just going to be our step divided by our steps. So the step we're on divided by the total number of steps. This actually has two problems. The first problem is that the largest value that the step gets, if in the case where phase steps was 30, phase step will go from 0 to 29. It will never get to 30. So what we want to do here is take into account the fact that the largest step is 1 smaller than the total number of phase steps and subtract 1 off that. Now this will go from 0 to 1, except that it's a second problem. And the second problem is this is integer division. So this will actually essentially always be 0, except the last one at 1. But if we multiply by 1.0, or if you'd prefer, we turn it into a float, whatever way you want to do this to make sure that this is not integer division. And now our phase progress is going to run from 0 to 1. Excellent. So the next thing we can do is realize that the largest index that we want, the max index into this text, the index of the end of the text. If we want to do this, if we want to go text going from 0 up to IMAX, if that's the text that we wanted to use, okay? So our message say was that, and we'll actually convert this to use our message. So what we want to do is end at that index. Well, when the phase progress is 0, we're going to want this to be 0 because we're going to want to go to have the text be completely empty. And when the phase progress is 1, we're going to want that index to be the full length of the string, because if this was the length of the string, we'd get the entire string. So we realize all we have to do is multiply our phase progress by the length of our string. This will do exactly what we want. When this is 0, the entire index is 0, and when this is 1, we wind up with the full length. The only problem is that this index has to be an int, so we want to turn it into an int. And in fact, let's go ahead and round it so that we go to the nearest int, as opposed to a truncated int. And now, when we run this, we got that right. So phase 1 is going ahead and working properly, which is great. So at this point, we'll go ahead and stop this and see if you can maybe do phase 2 on your own coming down, and we'll provide the phase 2 solution in the third video of this sequence.